Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. It's Catherine here from Tullamore Alive Fitness, and today's mini class is all designed to help you find release in tension in your hips. So this is a mini class of a full class I taught last week that had a really good response. So I thought I would share it with all of you at home, or if you've already done the class with me, it would give you a chance to do another little piece of it at a later date if you choose to. So for class today, if you have them, please bring 2 blocks. They can be foam, cork, whatever you have. If you don't have blocks, I will either offer a non-block alternative, or if you'd like, you can stack a few books and use them, works as well. Often I've heard people stack books and then saran wrap them as an alternative. So that's all you're gonna need. Even if you don't have them, you can still participate. So find a seated space on the ground and let's get started. Okay, so you can find yourself a comfortable seat. If you have blocks nearby, sometimes people find it supportive to sit on them so their hips are a bit higher than their knees, just to begin here. And we're just gonna take a few deep breaths. So if you'd like, you can soften your gaze or close your eyes, it's up to you. And you're just gonna begin by inhaling and exhaling deeply, settling into your space. Taking a few moments here. Yeah, just like that. See if you can encourage your shoulders to roll back a bit. So we often round forward, open up in your chest. And just taking a few more breaths. Yeah, looking good. If you have any stray thoughts that come along, you can acknowledge them and then just allow them to keep moving. Then on your next inhale, bring a bit more length to your spine. You can slowly open your eyes. And we're going to come to our butterfly stretch. So that is feet together. Pinky side is touching. Big toe side, you're going to allow to open up. Really softening in those hips. Allowing your knees to sink towards the ground. So if you don't have blocks today, you can stay like this. If you have blocks though, you're gonna take advantage of them. So you can see my knees don't move all the way to the ground here. So I can benefit in this stretch from propping underneath, finding a little bit of support here. So you might think that you get a more intense stretch by not propping, but our body is designed to keep us safe as we're doing activities. So what that means is that often, say, our body, so in this case, these muscles here are going to prevent this knee from shifting down or moving past our range of motion. It doesn't want us to get injured, but because we are holding static here, we're nice and supported in the stretch. These muscles can then relax or really soften and lengthen. Again, I want you to sit up nice and tall as you hold here. Really focus on those knees sliding softly to the ground and taking a few deep breaths again. Yeah, just like that. Enjoying the beginning of space being created in your hips, finding those big toes really opening up. And as you soften, if you're using those blocks, you might find more space is created. You can lower them down slightly or change their positioning. So our hips are a ball and socket joint, which means they have 6 degrees of freedom in our case. So they can move forward, backwards, out to the side, into the side, as well as rotate in and out. So to stretch them, we have to move our hips in a lot of different directions. Yeah, let's take 2 more breaths here. You can inhale, bring a bit of length to your spine. Exhale, really allow those knees to be heavy down to the ground. One more time, inhale. And exhale. As you inhale, draw those knees together. Yeah, I'll show you what this is going to look like from the side. You're going to lean your head down towards your knees. That's Blossom pawing at the wall, just like so. And then what I want you to imagine is I've tied a string to your belly button and I'm pulling back so you can feel your spine arch a little bit. There's there's lots of space here down the length of your back. Taking just a few breaths here. On your next inhale, come back up slowly, taking your time, cross-legged position. And we're just going to do a few shoulder lifts here. So you can do a little lift and lower, lift and lower. If you want, you can make your movement a bit more spontaneous, so you can naturally move however your shoulders would like. Yeah, just like that. Again, you're going to lift and lower. Maybe take a few shoulder rolls back, maybe a few shoulder rolls forward. Yeah, just like that. And then sitting up nice and tall, I want you to, it's called scap-jaying your shoulder blades down. So our shoulder blades are often up like this and lifted. You're going to pull them down and then J-shape them together. So pull your shoulder blades down, J-shape them together. And we're just gonna bring a little bit of length to the base of our skull. So I want you to pretend that the base of your skull is on an elevator, so it's moving directly up and down, and you're just going to gently nod your chin. Yeah, so you might be thinking, why are we bothering stretching up at the base of our skull if this is for our hips? And to that I say to you, so we are going to stretch our hips with dedication. We're going to get as much as possible in there. See if you can slow down this movement a bit. But our body, again, is so interconnected. This is going to help loosen our shoulders, maybe loosen some of that fascia down our back and our neck, which is only going to help loosen the rest of our body. On that next one, so we aren't arching forward at all, really hold at the top of that elevator with the base of your skull. Shoulders in that scap-jayed position, so down and together. And just take 3 breaths here. So you can inhale and exhale. 2 more times, inhale and exhale. 1 more time, inhale and exhale. On your next inhale, you can slowly lift that head back up. Again, give everything a little shake. We're going to move to laying on our back. I'm going to show you your alternative move if you don't have the blocks. Even if you have blocks, do this next move with me, and then you can transition to blocks with me after. So make your way to your back, hug your knees towards your chest. Yeah, just like that, and you can rock gently here side to side, giving your back a little massage, whatever feels good. And then as you inhale, pull your left knee towards you, either placing your right foot on the ground or intensifying the stretch by extending that right leg. Taking a few deep breaths, encouraging your shoulders not to roll forward, but to roll back and down to the ground. As we do this, I want you to briefly scan your body here, paying note to what part of your body or your hips is open. So I can feel on my right leg here that my hip flexor or the front of my hip is opening. And I can even feel a little bit of space on the back of my hip here as I pull my knee closer to my chest in this quad stretch of this leg. And then with that left leg, you can extend it overhead, pull those toes back towards you, linking your fingers behind your leg. And so this is going to get your hamstrings. My hamstrings are pretty tight today. So you're going to want to take those toes, pull them back. If you are shaking at all, that means the muscle's tightening. You're going to want to bend that knee a bit or move that leg away from you. So we aren't looking for quivering, that's a tightening in the muscle. We want to lengthen in that muscle. Yeah, just like that. And then as you inhale, pull that knee back in. So we're rocking between these 2 movements. You'll be able to mimic that with the blocks. Continuing to hold there. Okay, out you go. then again, as you exhale, you can extend that leg up. Again, it de-intensifies the stretch by bending your other knee here. Yeah, just like that. And as you inhale, hug both knees towards your chest, rocking a little bit side to side. Yeah, looking good. And then we're going to do the other side. So you can pull that right knee towards you, left foot down to the ground, or you intensify it by extending. So again, where do we feel this in our hips? Our intention today is to release in our hips, so we feel it here, as well as on the back side of this hip is where I feel the stretch. Maybe it's different for you, that's okay. Breathe deeply, extend that leg overhead. Again, if your hamstrings are tight like mine today, maybe you keep that leg further away. Maybe you bring a bit of bend to your knee, that's okay. We're just looking for sensation here down the back of the leg. Keeping in mind that we don't want that shake or that tightening of our muscles. And then as you inhale, pull your knee back in, squeezing it again, scanning your hips, seeing what you can continue to loosen here. Taking some nice deep breaths as you do so. And then again, extending that leg up. Pulling those feet, your single foot, back towards you again. If this is too intense, try bending that other knee, will help ease some of that in there. And then just take note of your shoulders here. Have they rounded up, or can you keep them sort of melted back or scat jade down? So our shoulder blades, I'm planning on doing a video on this, but they're related to our shoulder health a lot. So when people think of strengthening their shoulders, they often think of strengthening, you know, right around the shoulder joint, so the ball and socket of the shoulder, versus the shoulder blades, which are what supports our shoulder girdle, or the muscles related to the shoulder blades. Okay, as you inhale, pull those knees towards you. Rock a little bit side to side. Okay, you're either going to repeat that sequence I just showed you. It'll mimic the block movements you'll see as we do this. Or you can roll over to tabletop, so that's hands and knees, and do the block movements with me if you have them available to you. Okay, so I am in my hands and knees position here. If you are still laying on your back, that is fine. I just want you to take your knees to your chest here briefly, hugging them to your chest, rocking side to side, focusing on massaging your spine. And those of us in hands and knees are just going to do a few gentle flexes and extensions. So some cat-cows, you're going to round. Yeah, just bringing a little bit of movement into our body with this change in position. We're just going to go for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then slowly taking your time, you're going to come up to standing on your knees. If this is painful for your knees, you can always revert back to that other position, even if you have the blocks, or prop underneath, it's up to you. And then you're going to step your right foot forward, bringing the blocks to either side. So these blocks are here. Many people can do it without blocks, but most of us, myself included, need the blocks to maintain good form. So we're gonna have a nice neutral spine here. And then what I want you to do, remember our intention here is to open up our hips. So if we want to open up the hip of our back leg here, we're going to want to push forward into that knee. But ideally this knee isn't going to go past our front toes, so you're going to scooch that foot forward, push forward into that knee, and now you can see it's behind those toes. So find your position here. Really feel that space opening in your back hip flexor, so the hip flexor of your left leg, and maybe even some sensation in your front hip. If you'd like, if this is bothering your wrists, try changing your grip on your blocks, can make a difference. As well as if the blocks are too high, remember your blocks have 3 settings. So this right now, if you're laying on your back, is knee drawn into your chest, is what you're going to be doing. And then as you exhale, you're going to rock those hips back forward. You can pretend someone has hooked their fingers and is pulling your hips back. Drag that heel with you, encouraging those toes back towards you. So again, for those of you on the ground, what this is going to look like is you're pulling that leg up straight now. So you can see you're mimicking that same motion. And this in yoga is half splits, or Hanuman's pose. Hanuman is the monkey god, so he can do the splits when he leaps over tall mountains. He grows so big. I think some of the mythology, however you want to describe it, in yoga is really fun. I like a good story or a myth or anything like that. And then as you exhale, come forward. So again, that same thing, mindful of that knee, we're really pushing into it. We're gonna do 3 times. So we're gonna go forward and back 3 times. Again, if you're on the ground, you're hugging that knee towards your chest. Breathing deeply here. And just focusing on what part of your hips are opening as we do this. And then exhale, you can rock those hips back. So I think in the squatting video, we talked about this idea of sort of unlocking our hips, flexing at our hips. So see if you can emulate that here. And then I know it can be tempting to round forward, but really try and again, scap-jay those shoulders down. So we are still practicing that good posture. I know we sneaky prepared to scap-jay or have good posture in this pose with our scap-jaying earlier. Yeah, so we're really sitting that bum down towards that heel. That'll be the day, eh? When we can just settle all the way. Breathing deeply, maybe it's light in your hands this time. And exhale, we switch. So ground people or people on your back, make sure to switch. Really breathing into it. Has any more space opened up? So I just checked in with my body. I felt that I was resisting the stretch a bit, and actually there was space to lean into it a bit more. So obviously we don't want to move beyond what's good for our body, but just check in and see if there's any more space available to you. And then as you exhale, one more shift back. Now you can pretend you're pulling off your boot or your shoe. Maybe your boot if you're in Canada and it's winter. Maybe your sandal if you're in Hawaii any time of the year. I don't know about Hawaii well enough to say if you wear or could potentially wear a sandal all year. In my mind, Hawaii is only ever warm. Okay, as you exhale, come forward. Yeah, you can bring that knee back. And just briefly sit down here, giving yourself a little rest. You can bring those knees a little bit wide if that works for you, and then reach forward to your child's pose. If you're laying on your back here, what that's gonna look like is knees are both hugged into your chest. You're gonna pull your knees wide and then hug them towards you the same way. And if you have blocks here, something that can be nice is a block for your forehead as you come down. Just take a few breaths here. Feeling everything softening, especially in your hips. And then as you inhale, you can slowly come back up. We're going to move to our other side. Yeah, again, take your time if you have low or high blood pressure. Sometimes a transition from low to high doesn't always feel so good, so just be gentle with your body. Coming back to kneeling, this time you're going to extend your other leg in front, so your left foot. And again, we want to walk that foot far enough that when we push forward, deepening in that hip stretch, this knee isn't going significantly past those front toes. Maybe you're gripping the blocks a little bit more. That can bring more stability to your wrist. Taking a few breaths here. So just to remind those of you on the ground, this is going to be you hugging your knee into your chest. You're going to have a similar opening of the hip flexor here like we're getting. And then as you exhale, take those hips, really unlock them. There's flexion occurring there. I don't know if you can see with my shirt like that, where you're really flexing at the hip. So I go and I'm flexing, pulling that heel back, really encouraging that bump down towards your heel. Find that length in your torso, scap jaying those shoulder blades for some good posture. Taking a few breaths here. And then as you exhale, move forward. Really finding that stability, easing in to that hip. Yeah, taking some nice deep breaths. Has your chest remained open? Are you encouraging good posture? And again, we exhale back, hinging at those hips, really feeling them flex, sit down. Lots of length in your spine here. We want to feel this stretch down the back of the leg. So do you find when you shift those hips back, you can really feel that length? Continuing to breathe deeply. Really allowing those shoulders to soften. So not only have they scap jayed into a really supportive shoulder position, but they also are relaxed. So they're away from your ears, not only because the muscles are pulling them, but also because you aren't adding additional resistance. And then exhale forward one last time. Yeah, and whether you're on the ground or in the block supported variation of this stretch, shoulders can be down in either. So see if you can again sort of unlock that space that might have opened up for you as we hold here. And then one more exhale back. Yeah, really enjoy pulling off that shoe or driving those hips back. Again, that length is in our torso. Everything we do is encouraging this better, more functional, more biomechanically stable movement as we go. One more breath together. Inhale, exhale. You can shift forward. I like to, when I'm shifting out of positions like this, you put your weight in your block and then you take the loading out of the leg you're moving. That's a lot safer for your knees as you go through these different stretches. Okay, have your blocks nearby. There'll be an option to use them one more time before we are done. Right now though, whether you were laying on your back or doing the block variation, please make your way to laying on your stomach, coming down to the ground, taking a brief crocodile pose. So that is forearms stacked on top of each other, forehead on your forearms. Yeah, just like that. Just to allow yourself here a moment for your body to adjust. And then on your next exhale, turn your head to face your right side, and you can pull that right knee up towards your right elbow. Yeah, just like that. As we do this, really allowing your hip to soften into the ground. Feeling how that hip is externally rotating. So if my feet were facing forward, an external rotation is opening like that. And then as you hold here, I want you to engage the glute or the bum cheek of your right leg and see how that changes your hip stretch. So you're going to squeeze this glute. Notice if that allows a bit more external rotation, if you find a larger angle or more space on the front of your hip. As you exhale, release that engagement. And then just engage that glute one more time, seeing how that changes the stretch for you. Has any more space opened up? Yeah, no worries if you can't engage your glute today. Our glutes, from all the things we do, are chronically lazy, or they have trouble sort of engaging when we want them to and release. So for the majority of us, myself included, extend that leg back down, turn to center. It takes time and effort and practice to really engage your glutes. It's something I'm personally working on, is better glute engagement, which can help with support of your pelvis. It can bring your body into better alignment. You can get more efficient exercises in, you name it. So rest here in this crocodile position. And again, check in with your shoulders. Have they crept up to your ears here? Is there lots of space? And then again, as you exhale, you're going to turn your head. So turn your head this time to the left. You're going to pull up that left knee towards your left elbow. Taking a few deep breaths here as you hold. And then you're going to engage the glute of your left leg. So the bum cheek of your left leg, you can squeeze it. See how that changes the stretch if you have more space available to you now. And release. One more time, you're going to engage that glute. Feel that hip really open up, that stability in your pelvis as we hold here. And exhale to release, turning back to center. Extending that leg down. And then being mindful of how this feels for your low back. So if this causes your low back pain, you can stay as is. We want to do things that are good for our body, not that are going to cause injury. But if it's okay for your low back today, you can bring both heels towards your bum. And I want you to focus as you hold here on how this feels in the front of your hips. So is there any more space created by drawing these heels towards you? And then as you exhale, you can place those feet back down. And if that still feels okay, you're going to alternate for a few heel to bum here. Yeah, just like that. Taking a few deep breaths as you do this. On your next exhale, bring both feet down to the ground. We're going to roll to lay on our back. Taking our time here, drawing your knees towards your chest, rocking side to side gently as you do so. And then we're going to do 2 more stretches here together before we finish up with our brief Shavasana. So we're going to go to cow's face legs, placing your feet down on the ground. I'll show you a few different variations. If you have a block, you may or may not end up using it, so you can bring it to sit next to you. So we're just going to begin. You're going to cross your right thigh over your left thigh. If this isn't working for you, it can be right ankle over left, but try right thigh over your left one. And then from there, you're going to draw your knees towards you. If this isn't or is too intense for you, you can place that block here under your foot is sort of option one with the stretch. And then if you're doing okay pulling those knees towards you, you make it here, and then you're going to slowly reach down for your shins or your ankles, and you're going to lift your feet up on either side. So if I were to show you from this angle, I think you'll be able to see. You lift your legs up 9 degrees, and that should give you a nice intense hip stretch. Our hip stretch intensifies the more we pull those legs towards us as we go. So find your variation that you are most comfortable doing, and find that hip stretch here for a few moments. Inhaling and exhaling. I know it can be quite an intense sensation, but see if you can still encourage your body here to relax as you hold. Let's go 2 more breaths together. Inhale and exhale. One more time. Inhale and exhale. You can release, uncross those legs, pull your knees in towards your chest. Again, taking a little rocking motion side to side. And then when you're ready, switching to the other side. So this time left thigh on top of right, or left ankle on top of right, whatever is working for you. Drawing those knees in. Remember, if you can't get them all the way, you stack underneath with that block if it's something you have, holding there. And then if you're comfortable, you can move to lifting your legs up, trying to get them to 90 degrees, really feeling sensation in the leg, top legs, hip. So this at its core is intense hip stretch. Breathing as deeply as you hold here, being mindful of how this feels for your knees. Can you bring softness into your shoulders as you hold? Really breathing deeply. Let's do 2 more breaths together, okay? So you're going to inhale and exhale. One more time. Inhale and exhale. You can release. Place your feet down on the ground. Depending on how open your hips are, you're going to walk your feet nice and wide, and then take a few windshield wipers here. So just dropping your knees side to side. Really massaging into those hips, seeing how that feels. And then again, if you have your block, you can use it here. So you can either keep doing windshield wipers either way, or you can bring your feet to hip width. Lift your hips up into the air, engaging your glutes, and sliding your block under your sacrum, or that flat bony part towards the end of your tailbone, so not on the main part of your spine. And just allow yourself to settle in here. So this is supported bridge. It's a great way to release your back, as well as you can feel there's some opening or gentle opening in your hips here to finish off. So you can either continue your windshield wipers or come to this nice supported bridge position. Again, really softening here. Whichever variation you are doing, your breath is nice and even. Focusing on the rise and the fall of your belly. The muscles along your collarbones are soft. You can feel your shoulders have really rolled back down to the ground. Maybe even your jaw softens, your tongue is heavy, everything really relaxes. On your next inhale, you can, if you're in a supported bridge, push into your heels, lifting your hips up, sliding that block out. If you're in windshield wipers, walk your feet back together to hip width. And then we're just going to extend out here for a nice brief little Shavasana, finding our rest or our reset before we go about the rest of our day. On your next inhale, you can bring some sensation back into your body, whatever feels good. Maybe you take a nice stretch overhead, really enjoying how nice that is. Maybe you wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, rolling slowly to one side, taking just a moment here. And then when you're ready, you can push yourself up slowly to a nice seated position. Well, thanks you guys for joining me for our hip stretch today. I hope your hips are feeling really loose and fantastic. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you again soon. Namaste.